Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria, where currently we are nearly at our high water mark of GDP. However, I do expect this to drop somewhat in the next few weeks here. And the reason for that is because we're going to run out of investment pool money, which means our constructions are going to grind to a halt. Now, we might be able to run some public constructions for a little bit, but we're basically out of money for that. So I don't really expect to hold above 1 million for the moment, but our resting GDP when we're not constructing is certainly a lot improved from where it was. No doubt about that. Let's continue for now. These forest fires are not looking great. But let's proceed for the moment, and we're currently running a shortage of engines. This is not terribly shocking. We do have this motor industry here. Qualifications are an issue in Wisconsin. We could think about building like a university in Wisconsin. That wouldn't necessarily be a terrible concept to help with the qualifications. But for the time being, I don't think we really want to do that. I mean, I do, but I also don't. You know what I mean? There's a lot of costs to that. So I think for the moment, we're going to hold off on that for just right now. And we're chilling at a 1.2 million GDP for the moment. GDP per capita is okay. It's not phenomenal, but it's okay. Standard of living is pretty good right now. So standard of living and GDP are not high enough to work us up on the recognition yet. I think we'll get there, but we're not quite there yet. Mortality? I don't want mortality. We can drop some throughput here. It's not amazing, but we can do that, and that should actually be fine. We should have a pretty good amount of slush for that, so I don't think that's going to be a significant issue, but our GDP will likely drop a little bit because of that. What we really need, actually it went up a little bit. We're actually just about to our high water mark. We have crossed our high water mark. This is now the highest our GDP has ever been. Okay, we're net negative financially right now, and I think this is because, yeah, we're pulling from the investment pool at this moment. So that's, you know, not necessarily ideal. So the investment pool is empty right now. There's steel frame buildings being unlocked. Okay, and that private construction is completed, so that's absolutely fine. There are new production methods, covered markets, and steel frame buildings. We almost certainly can't afford to go to steel frame buildings. This would drive additional tools, glass, steel, but it would cut wood, and I don't think this is good to go to right now. We can't afford to build on iron frame buildings, so I don't think we go to steel frame buildings at this time. The next question is, well, what about covered markets? Well, that will drive up the price of glass, but it would be less wood. It would also drive up the price of steel. I don't think that's particularly useful right now. Can we go to glass streetlights? This would be slightly less wood, but a little bit more coal. A few less engines isn't terrible. A little bit less glass as well. Interesting. But that production of transportation would be potentially painful. And it would drop the price of services an awful lot. I think we'll hold off on that for now. We'll keep that in our back pockets as a potential option. But for right now, I think it's fine. So, as of this moment, we are out of debt. And there is a private construction still ongoing here. Yes. Unionized leverage. Okay, so we hit a debate here. And industrialists would lose approval, but the trade unions would gain approval. Sounds good. So we're up to a 40% here. We've been rolling well on this. I like it. So we're making money decently. This logging camp in Illinois is about to be finished. We're waiting for funding to expand logging camps in Illinois, and we're kind of close to that. Okay, so as you can see, GDP dropped. It dropped to 1 million, though, so this is better than I anticipated. We'll see where that settles after the next few week ticks. But for right now, GDP is looking pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. Let's take a look at our current population numbers. Oh, this is good. We have basically no peasants or unemployment. Okay, that is fantastic. I'm really, really happy to see that. That's why our GDP is up so high. So that looks absolutely wonderful. Our literacy is pretty good. Our qualifications still require some work. There's no doubt about that. I want to check in quick on where all we have universities. We have them in Michigan and Indiana, and that's it. We're currently running a education access and qualifications campaign in Michigan. I would argue that we could drop that, but we're at -2 authority right now, so we wouldn't be able to put it back in. But my argument would be that we would put it probably in Wisconsin, although actually looking at these numbers, I think Michigan is still the best place to have it, although maybe Indiana. Indiana may be slightly better. We have a good number of job seekers, but we're lacking qualifications here. Okay. Oh, that's only 48 aristocrats. If we look up here, this is a lot more in Michigan. So, yeah, I think that's absolutely fine for now. Down over this direction, yeah. Okay, Wisconsin now actually has all qualifications met. So that is actually quite good. I'm surprised by that, but that seems good. Michigan has a ways to go on that one. So that is absolutely understood. So for now, we're working on those wage subsidies. This is looking good. I think we're actually going to get this. We've got a 50% chance of a good roll at this point. And a 28% chance of a 50-50. So 21% chance of stall is still up there, but we'll see what happens here. And there it is, a stall. Okay, so we're going to take the 10% hit. It's not great. We rolled badly on that one, but we had been rolling well up until this point, so fair enough. So we're down to 160k on radicals. That's looking good. The game was frozen there for a moment. Okay, that was exciting. For a second there, I thought we might be crashing, but no, that's good. So at this point, I want to check in on our unrealized taxes. We've got a 9% average tax waste. Okay, institution status is done. So we don't need to raise up any additional institutions. We do not require additional colonial affairs at this time. So that looks good for now. GDP without construction is at 1.1 million. So this is looking very good. I think that we are now officially in a fairly healthy domestic market. We still need more workers. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely do need more workers, but we're getting there. 25k annually, that's definitely a good growth. From where we started, this is 50% annual growth. Not, you know, where we are now, but from where we started. That's definitely very interesting. So we've built up about 30k in gold reserves. How many weeks will it take us to build this furniture manufactory? So I'm going to let this week tick go by. I'm going to start this construction, and the overall time on this would be 28 weeks. We're expecting the cost on this to be what? I wish this updated before the week tick. I really, really do. Yeah, unfortunately, it just doesn't update. I don't know what the construction costs are going to be here. 28 weeks, though, we almost certainly don't have enough money to see that all the way through. I'm going to pause this for the moment, and, I mean, we would definitely love to drive up the price of wood a little bit. That would be a good thing to do. Or rather, not so much price, because we can... Hi, American Reactionary Revolt. I just noticed that St. Louis is now their capital, and I was like, what is going on? This is going on. That's very normal. At least in this game. So that's fine. We have a sulfur shortage at this moment, and that would, of course, be the responsibility of this mine to produce more sulfur, and they can absolutely do that. So that sounds good. We have a domestic production of sulfur. I want to check in on our trade routes here. So our current trade routes, sorting by revenue here, we are currently exporting sulfur. Okay. Exporting wood, importing fertilizer. Hang on. We should not be importing fertilizer anymore, should we? At least not this one. Let's get rid of that one. This importation of fertilizer might be okay. It's considered positive in revenue right now. But we do have a fertilizer factory somewhere, I believe. Where are we at on that? Here it is, fertilizer plant. So, yeah, I think importing fertilizer is probably bad at this point. We'll get rid of at least one of those, and we'll let the market shake out for a little bit. But for now, that looks good. So this is an importation of grain that is currently very slightly negative. Let's get rid of that. That'll be fine for now. We're trying to wean ourselves off of these imports overall. That's the overall goal here right now. We want to be relatively domestically self-sufficient on the goods that we need and be a net exporter. That would be ideal. So for now, things are looking good. Okay, we hit a debate here. What do we got? Plus 15% enactment success chance. Beautiful. We're now up to a 55% chance, so this is even better than where we were before. So that looks great for now, and we can see our standard of living is definitely substantially improving. That's really, really good. Yeah, we're almost in the top 50 on the standard of living, actually, and GDP per capita is getting there. I think we'd be there if we were constructing, but we're not right now, so that's understood. That engine shortage is rough. This is mostly, I think, just a lack of qualified workers, to be honest. Or we just need to find a balance here. One or the other. Okay, so for now, that looks relatively fine. Now, we're not currently investing in any private constructions, so that is understood. We definitely need to do something about that eventually. I mean, there's not really anything we can do about it. We would like to see some private construction happening here, but eventually it'll happen, I'm sure. 1% or 2% becoming more radical. 5 legitimacy. Would that be a problem for us? It would bring us down to exactly 75. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of extra radicalism here. I don't like doing that, but I didn't want to drop to exactly 75 because we might go down below legitimate at that point. So that would be, you know, potentially problematic. Pops in Indiana becoming more radical. I mean, that's not great either, but I mean, that's another big jump of radicalism. Not ideal. Standard of living is dropping a little bit due to our GDP at this point, but our GDP is a lot more stable than it was because we have a good domestic supply, so we're less affected by external things. So that makes sense. At this point, I would like to commence construction here. We've got 50K saved up, so that'll give us a little bit. And minus 6.64. Okay, yeah, we're not going to get this fully constructed, but that's okay. We don't need to. Why are we suddenly negative 30 bureaucracy? We weren't this before. That's interesting. People might have been fired from our government administrations? No. I don't actually know why we're negative bureaucracy all of a sudden. Interesting. We have a general. We probably shouldn't. Where's that general? Hang on. We have a general somewhere, but we have no military. So that's this guy. So he's a brigadier general, and can we retire him? Yes. Done. So that will boost up our bureaucracy by 10. We've got a couple of trade routes here that are giving us another 10. Okay. So we might need to build another government administration eventually, but for the time being, this will do. We've got a bit of a steel shortage, meat shortage, and engine shortage. Okay, there's meat dealt with. We produce engines and steel, so we just need to hire in these factories. We can check the steel mill here. There's lots of room. We can check into the motor industry. There's lots of room. So both of those will be dealt with. We are currently needing to pause construction. Did that pause? Yes. Okay, there we go. So that's absolutely fine. We just unlocked wargaming, sure. So that seems fine for now. Do we want the big men to get the credit here? Ooh, this is for food industries. We don't actually have any food industries. A little unfortunate. We can get some rural folk pop attraction, but yeah, getting some food industries wouldn't necessarily be a terrible thing. Eventually, anyway. So let's check in here on what our standard of living is looking like. Grain is a bit expensive. That's definitely noted. And we did cancel a trade route on that. I don't really want to do anything about that right now. We are currently importing fabric, and that's negative. I want to get rid of that. I want to have domestic fabric production, and we know that we do have some of that from livestock ranches, right? So we do have some fabric production there, and that should hopefully mean that these livestock ranches are much more economically attractive. That's the idea anyway. So that looks good. We've got a fabric and meat shortage. Both of those would be dealt with by livestock ranches, so that is absolutely fine. How many livestock ranches do we have? Is that only the one? Correct. It's only this one. That's okay. It's in Michigan, so we definitely need more workers out over here. That's for sure. But we'll get there. Okay, so that seems fine for now. We're up to 739k at this point, and our pop growth is still rather huge at 3.5% annually. So that's looking good. We need a lot more population to make this even more viable. We're already pretty viable, but we need to be more viable. So one thing we could think about doing is bumping down to standardized filing system to get more bureaucracy. That will cost a lot of money. That would put us net negative financially. So that's understood. Oh, we must have gotten a privatization. Beautiful. Let's build. So we're going to get this furniture manufactory built, and then we can think about maybe building additional livestock ranches. How are things looking on this livestock ranch? It's unwilling to hire because that will drop its productivity. Interesting. Very interesting. Subsistence farms do generate a tiny, tiny bit. We don't need much fabric, though, right now. But there is a fabric shortage. It's bought by... Okay, majoritively it's the construction sector. So that's the core issue here. I gotcha. We've got this textile mill as well. And that's understood, but yeah, we definitely need more fabric production. So fabric is mostly produced where? Livestock ranches, cotton plantations. I don't think we can build any cotton plantations. No, we're too far north for that. Subsistence farms, subsistence orchards, pastures. Yeah, so fabric is going to be kind of hard for us to get since we can't build cotton plantations. In which case, we should probably just import the fabric overall. So we'll do that. I don't think we'll need any more than that one import route. We can build livestock ranches, but the amount of fabric that those produce is quite minimal, to be honest. Like, if we look at the livestock ranches in here, right, we can see each level is going to produce 15 fabric and 2.5 fertilizer and 30 meat when maxed out. So that's definitely a bit of a concern. No doubt about that. Also a concern is the fact that our motor industry is really, really disinterested in hiring. And I'm wondering what the reason for that is. They're not able to hire because they need higher productivity to want to compete for employees with other buildings in the state. Okay, so that's the issue, is they just need higher productivity. So that probably means that we need to address the price of coal, which is a bit high right now. We have a coal mine down over here, and that's actually maxed out in its production at this moment. And it's showing a shortage of coal? Because of the shortage of engines. Okay, yeah. That's understood. So that's kind of cyclical there. Understood. That's going to be a bit of a complicated issue. But we'll see what that feels like. 2.83k. Oh, this is because we're building an arts academy of all things? Okay, whatever. Arts academies are not necessarily ideal, but let's see if we get wage subsidies here. That should, on its own, boost up our standard of living a pretty decent amount. Debate. Okay. Sure. We'll roll this again nice and quickly. So that seems fine. Transportation shortage in Minnesota. This isn't actually an issue, this railway here. It just needs to employ in. For that, we need engines, right? So we've definitely got some cyclical issues here that we need to solve. The coal is reliant on the engines, which is reliant on the coal. That means that our baseline production of coal in Illinois here is insufficient. Which means we need another level. Okay, we can't bring up the production methods here at all, so this is as good as it gets for our current technology. So we need to get an additional level of coal mine in here. That is of vital importance. I put that up at the top. I actually intended for that to go behind the furniture manufactory. So something along the lines of this. And that coal mine should build fairly quickly. We might actually have enough to get both of these built in this round of construction. And that would be very, very good for us, for sure. So a little bit of additional coal would not be bad. If we look at our current setup here, we're technically net negative here. I still want to be driving additional driving additional wood demand here. So we're essentially subsidizing this, and that's absolutely fine. We're currently exporting some of this paper, and I want to get rid of that. That might drop some of our costs. That would be good. Importing this fertilizer. We do produce fertilizer domestically, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so things are looking better on that front. If we look at potential export goods here, additional wood subsidies, essentially, is what this is. So let's do that. This tobacco would be positive. Anything else in here that looks good? Not at this moment. Okay. So that all seems absolutely fine for now. Things are looking good on that front. This furniture manufactory in Illinois is, of course, going to drive demand for wood, which is good. Ah, there's wage subsidies. Perfect. So we're going to want to work these up, but we can't afford the bureaucracy to do that right now. And that's absolutely understood. We'll get there. So what might we want to go for in terms of a law change at this point? Well, there is legal guardianship, but I think having the population growth is still more useful for us right now. There's not a lot of things that we can change here, and yeah, all of the things that we can change, I think we're fine where they are. So that seems fine for the moment. Okay, so we're about 8 weeks until we finish this furniture manufactory in Illinois, and that's definitely going to finish at this point before we run out of money. No doubt about that. The coal mine may or may not finish. We'll see. But we definitely need additional coal production. There's no doubt about that. We can use driving down this price of coal a little bit and having more headroom on this coal employment. Now I want to check up here in these logging camps. We've expanded these logging camps a number of times, and they're actually doing pretty okay. This one's not. So we do produce an awful lot of wood, right? That's one of the main reasons why we're building this furniture factory right now. That's absolutely going to be useful for us. What are our production methods on that? Actually, here's the Arts Academy. We can go down to, like, here. It's going to be a little awkward because of paper, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. So that looks fine for now. For furniture manufactories, yeah, that looks good. Okay. So that's fantastic for the moment. Furniture manufactories are finishing this week. Right about now. And then we're going to have this coal mine. That's 36 weeks out. Okay, we might not actually get this coal mine finished. We will see how our finances hold. But we can see that we're no longer nearly as reliant on the demand from construction at this point. We built a baseline demand, and that's really good to see. I'm very, very happy about that. So things are looking good on that front. This Arts Academy has 11 weeks left on it. This paper mill, not doing so hot right now. Actually, it's kind of maxed. It's okay. It's okay for the moment. So that looks good for just this moment. We're at 55 on the GDP per capita, and we're at 57 on the standard of living. So we're getting close to being able to earn recognition here. We're not quite there. I'm guessing our bureaucracy went down because of our population. That's my current theory. Okay, so things are looking reasonably fine for now. 7.95k peasants. Noted. Where are these located? Indiana. Okay. So jobs in Indiana is going to be a useful thing. We are going to have this Arts Academy coming in here. So that will give some jobs. They're not working in the vineyards right now. This maize farm is pretty maxed out. Okay. That's noted. So most of the jobs here in Indiana are pretty maxed out other than this vineyard. And wine is super, super cheap right now. We may actually want to subsidize wine with these negative export routes, which I'm going to do for right now. Just a little bit of subsidization there. That'll be okay. In hopes that this puts these people to work in the vineyards. We can see that brought up the price of wine quite a lot. And they're hiring in. So that looks perfect. And then if we go in here, 5.44k. Yeah, definitely an improvement. 1.4 million here. We can definitely see our bureaucracy really starting to ramp up. That's absolutely understood. We're going to need to do something about that. And the something that we're going to need to do about it is, honestly, probably another government administration. we do get economy of scale. So I'm thinking we put a government administration in Indiana for our next construction. And we're going to have to pause our construction pretty soon here. Government administrations build pretty quickly. So let's let this finish. And how much are we going to get from that? Now, we are not raising our setup here. So we're going to be just barely positive in bureaucracy. That's understood. We're going to go slightly into debt here. But I do want to bring this up a little bit. That'll be the mission. So 2 weeks. And then, yeah, we're going to go into debt about 21K. That's understood. I don't like going into debt that far, but I really want to get this government administration done in Illinois. This will get us, or rather in Indiana, this will get us more jobs here, which will be very useful. Although we don't actually have any need for the jobs, but yeah, this will be still useful. Okay, so that government administration is built as of now. We're going to pause our construction. And we see a vineyard is building in Indiana as well. Okay. So we've got a lot of jobs going into Indiana, no doubt about that. Our government administration here is hiring in, and we should have no problem maxing this out. But financially, this is going to be potentially somewhat painful. Okay. As expected, we're very slightly positive on bureaucracy, and as expected, our finances not quite as good as they were before because of that government administration and the other costs that we've accrued recently. So that's absolutely understood, but we have hit a 1.57 million GDP. Nice. So that is definitely the highest GDP that we've had yet. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to continue to work on juicing this economy. There's a lot more that we can do here. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.